Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for Living Local, your lifestyle show for all things Charleston and beyond. I'm Ashley Meservey.
Lowcountry Walkthrough, sponsored by Jeff Cook Real Estate.
A special edition of Lowcountry Walkthrough with Jeff Cook Real Estate. Today we are here at 8 Orange Street in downtown Charleston, and we have a special guest with us, Miss Jennifer Kennard. Thank you for having us at your beautiful home.
You're very welcome.
Alrighty, so we're 8 Orange Street, so it is prime real estate here. 18th century home with Barbados like stylings. Kind of, I don't really know a lot about that. What does that mean?
It's the stucco design and the colors. It's peach colored and green shutters.
Okay.
And that's kind of a Barbados flair, I'm told.
Gotcha. All right, and this is the Samuel Miller house?
Yes, it is.
Okay, who is Samuel Miller?
Well, he was the builder.
Okay.
And he built this home, the original home, for his family. And he was the carpenter.
And that's a thing I've seen a lot in these really, Charleston homes in this area. They all have kind of a name.
A lot of them do, and they're named for the families who live there. And the original house was built in the 1770s. We don't have an exact date, but it's a very typical Charleston single. 2 rooms down, 2 rooms up, and a half a room on the 3rd floor.
Well, I can't wait to get to that part because there are definitely breathtaking moments all across this home. All right, why do you think South Abroad is such the place to be when it comes to
Oh, it's
living?
historical. I mean, it's totally history in its architecture. This street particularly is known for its 18th century frame houses with the piazzas. This house doesn't have piazzas, never did as far as I know. That makes it a bit unusual.
Well, you got to stand out some way, right? Well, speaking of this, beautiful garden space, I noticed with a lot of homes down here, there's a big concentration on outdoor space and the love of the garden.
Absolutely.
Talk about like how important that is when it comes to downtown living.
Well, these plats were laid out by King George, England, and that's why they're narrow and long. And I mean, that was his original plan for all of these houses south abroad. And I mean, I'm on 0.12 acres. So you have to make a lot from a very small space of land. So, the garden is, the natural.
Because these walls and all, I mean, really, you're close to your neighbors, but you don't feel close to your neighbors. It's very private.
It is very private. It's very quiet generally, except when the dogs start barking. But I mean, that doesn't bother me. But it bothers some people. But yes, I'm very close to all of my neighbors. But I really am not impacted by that.
All right, let's now get into the house and talk about some of the features. Formal dining rooms, big in Charleston. And I love that we're still holding on to the value of a formal dining room, right? So if you could give us advice on keeping why we should keep a formal dining room. Because you seem like you'd be somebody who would be, hosting parties and making sure all of that is set up.
Well, we've had a lot of parties here, but since we've owned the house, but because it lends itself to a lot of open spaces. But the dining room is kind of the centerpiece. I mean, it's part of the old house. It has the original heart pine floors. It actually has the entrance to the basement.
Which a basement is unheard of, right?
In the dining room, which nobody really believes, but it's true. I don't know. I mean, I love the dining room. I think it's a beautiful room. It's small by a lot of standards, but bear in mind the original house was not that large. The additions make it much larger space-wise, but it's the formal place for the family.
It's very
together.
Charleston, right?
It's very Charleston.
And as you were just saying, you know, the additions and things, because I'm just curious, when you're making, you know, renovations and things, how do you kind of incorporate with still staying true to the historic, you know, character of this home while still incorporating modern things like gourmet, you know, stoves and stainless steel appliances and things like that?
Well, you know, originally I'm sure the kitchen was outside. You know, it was not in the house. It was not in the house because of the, you know, threat of fire. So, I mean, it was outside somewhere, maybe out here, I don't know. But when that kitchen was built, and that was Stoney who did the architecture there, and incorporated a mudroom to the side, which is where my big washer and dryer are, a second refrigerator, freezer, and a little office.
Just seeing how far along he was. I mean, he was already way ahead of the game, because I mean, that's something that we still value very much. I know moms out there definitely love it.
You got it.
All right, let's talk about, also, we were talking earlier before we came on air about the brickwork and things, and the commitment to preserving things like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I would say 10 years ago, I wanted to redo and update the stucco. And I wanted to make the middle courtyard wall was very dark. It had a lot of wear and tear. And I wanted to make all of that very homogeneous, but the Board of Architectural Review would not allow us to make the front of the house homogeneous in coloration because they wanted to show the mortar and brick, unless we could prove that it was impacting the integrity of the house.
Oh, that seems like a stressful situation right there.
So we redid the stucco, but we had to do it, you know, according to their, even though I own the exterior and interior easements, they would not allow us to make it homogeneous on the outside. So we had to preserve some of the showing of the brick and mortar.
Well, luckily it looks fantastic, right? Okay, talk about, let's just go specifically to each of the rooms. Let's start with the master bedroom. What's going on in there?
Well, when Mr. Ripley in the 60s, he had a growing family, had 2 boys, and he needed more room. So he took the big room, he did this 2-story addition back in the 60s. Master bedroom, and then the other big room was bedrooms for the boys. And the really neat room is the front room on the first floor that faces Orange Street. It has the original cypress paneling, which we redid and cleaned and glazed it many years ago. And it has the original flooring, the heart pine, and it kind of slants. I mean, as do all the floors in the old part of the house. But I mean, you know, that's
the character of it, right?
It is.
And as the homeowner, you know, it is a commitment and passion for this home. Not everyone can own this home financially, but really also just the commitment and what it takes to continue to make this a place that people walk by and just, it is Charleston. It is what Charleston is. And I can tell you have a ton of passion about it. Are you gonna miss this home?
Oh, I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss it. But you know, I've done my downtown thing and I've loved it, absolutely loved it. But I need to move on.
Gotcha. And who do you see this being the perfect spot for? If you could envision like the person you would want to buy this home.
Well, somebody who's passionate about history, architecture, and preservation.
I love it. All right, anything else we need to know about this absolutely gorgeous home on 8 Orange Street? Other than, you know, I can come and hang out whenever you want me to.
And that would be lovely.
I'll come watch the pool.
That would be lovely.
So, anything else you want to leave us with before we go?
It's a great home. It's fun to live here, and you know, I'm very passionate about this.
You are. You definitely are. Well, Jennifer, thank you again for having us.
My pleasure.
And for more information on this listing and more, you can go online to jeffcookrealestate.com.